John Deere's betrayal and Trump's tariffs are shaking the world economy. An American icon just gutted 7,000 jobs overnight. But this isn't just about tractors, it's a global power struggle. Imagine the heartbeat of America, the hum of tractors, the rhythm of rural life, the pride of feeding a nation. For nearly 200 years, John Deere has been the pulse of this heartland. Its green logo a symbol of resilience and progress. But in 2025, a seismic upheaval threatens to tear this legacy apart. John Deere's decision to shutter U.S. factories and shift production to Mexico has unleashed a firestorm, igniting tensions that ripple far beyond the fields. Former President Donald Trump's response, a blistering 200% tariff on John Deere's imports, was meant to protect American workers, but has instead sparked a global trade war. This isn't just about farming equipment. It's a clash of nations, economies, and visions for the future. From devastated rural towns to retaliatory sanctions by the EU and China, the stakes are monumental. Join us as we dive into this high-stakes showdown, dissecting the latest statistics and analyzing the global tensions reshaping our world. John Deere ditched America for Mexico, shattering rural dreams. Thousands of workers woke up jobless in a single day. This isn't just a factory closure, it's a stab at America's soul. In 1837, John Deere forged his first steel plow, revolutionizing agriculture and planting the seeds of an American icon. For nearly 2 centuries, the company didn't just build tractors, it built communities, embodying the grit and hope of rural America. Its green and yellow machines were as much a part of the landscape as the fields they tilled. But in early 2025, John Deere delivered a gut punch to its legacy, announcing the closure of multiple U.S. factories to relocate production to Mexico. The reasoning was cold and calculated: slash operational costs, boost shareholder profits, and stay competitive in a global market where emerging economies like Brazil, India, and China demand affordable equipment. The human toll was staggering. Over 2,700 workers lost their jobs in the first quarter alone, their livelihoods severed overnight. Towns like Moline, Illinois, and Waterloo, Iowa, where John Deere plants were economic anchors, plunged into despair. Local diners, hardware stores, and repair shops depended on factory workers' wages, shuttered as foot traffic evaporated. Entire communities crumbled, their dreams replaced by for sale signs and ghost town silence. This wasn't just a corporate restructuring, it was a betrayal of the heartland, a wound that cut deeper than any plow. John Deere justified its move with stark economic realities. Labor costs in the U.S. are double those in Mexico, and global competitors like Kubota and Mahindra are eating into market share with cheaper alternatives. To capture growing markets in developing nations where demand for mechanized farming is surging, John Deere argued it had no choice. Staying in the U.S. risked pricing itself out of existence. Yet, this logic clashed with the loyalty of farmers who saw John Deere as a partner, not a profit-driven machine. The move exposed a brutal truth. In the global economy, corporate survival often trumps national pride, leaving workers and communities as collateral damage. As the green logo faded from factory gates, it left behind a question. Can America's agricultural soul survive the pull of globalization? Trump's tariffs promised to save farmers but crushed them instead. Tractor prices doubled, bankrupting small farms. This isn't just bad policy, it's a spark for global chaos. Enter Donald Trump, the self-styled savior of rural America, whose 2016 and 2020 campaigns leaned heavily on the votes of farmers and factory workers. When news of John Deere's exodus to Mexico broke, Trump didn't hesitate. In a fiery speech in Pennsylvania, he unveiled a 200% tariff on all John Deere products imported from Mexico, vowing to force companies to keep jobs in the U.S. "They're hurting our farmers, our he thundered, promising to restore America's industrial might. The crowd roared, seeing a champion fighting for their way of life. But this bold stroke was a double-edged sword, cutting deeper into the very communities it aimed to protect. The tariff sent shockwaves through the agricultural sector. John Deere tractor prices skyrocketed, leaping from $60,000 to over $100 in mere months. With 70% of the company's production now based in Mexico, the cost of importing equipment became unbearable. Farmers, already battered by plummeting crop prices, corn down 35%, soybeans 23%, and wheat 39% from 2022 to mid-2024, according to USDA data, faced an impossible choice: pay exorbitant prices or let their fields lie fallow. Small farms collapsed at a rate unseen since the Great Depression, with 30% of family farms under 100 acres going bankrupt in just 3 years. Trump's tariffs, intended to shield American workers, instead punished the farmers who trusted him. The policy inflamed global tensions, signaling to trading partners like Mexico, the EU, and China that America was ready to play hardball. But in a globalized economy, such moves rarely go unanswered. Like a farmer tossing a match into dry fields, Trump's gambit sparked a wildfire, threatening to engulf not just agriculture, but America's broader economic standing. The tariffs exposed a harsh reality. Protectionism may rally votes, but it risks strangling the industries it claims to save, leaving farmers and workers to bear the cost of a miscalculated war. Farmers are ditching John Deere in a historic boycott. Dealerships lost nearly half their sales in months. This isn't just about equipment, it's a revolt against betrayal. Betrayed by a brand they revered, America's farmers didn't march or protest. They fought back with a weapon more powerful: their wallets. A nationwide boycott of John Deere erupted across farming states like Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. For generations, farmers chose John Deere not just for its durability, but for its promise of American-made pride. When that promise was broken, their response was swift and silent, a deliberate rejection of a company that turned its back on them. Farmers flocked to competitors like Kubota, AGCO, and Case IH, brands offering more flexible repair policies and no restrictive software controls that John Deere had increasingly imposed. The impact was devastating. Midwest John Deere dealerships reported sales drops of up to 18.5%, their lots gathering dust as customers vanished. In Iowa, a veteran dealer shared a heartbreaking truth: "We lost more than half our loyal customers in 6 months." No one saw this coming. The green logo, once a fixture on barns and trucks, was erased from the heartland, a symbol of trust replaced by resentment. This boycott wasn't just about economics, it was a cultural rebellion. Farmers, squeezed by rising costs and falling crop prices, felt abandoned by corporate America and government alike. The boycott reflected a deeper fracture. Rural America's faith in its institutions is crumbling. As global supply chains shift and corporate priorities drift, farmers are caught in a vice, their livelihoods at the mercy of decisions made in distant boardrooms. Like a community turning its back on a wayward neighbor, the boycott sent a message: loyalty is earned, not owed, and rural America will not be taken for granted. The EU and China are hitting back, crippling U.S. industries. America's auto sector lost $219.5 billion, 0 cents in weeks. This isn't just trade, it's a plot to dethrone U.S. power. Trump's tariffs didn't just wound John Deere, they lit a fuse that detonated across global trade. The EU and China, sensing an opportunity to exploit America's aggression, struck back with surgical precision. The U.S. auto industry hemorrhaged $219.5 billion, 0 cents, as the EU froze certifications for American electric vehicles, effectively barring Tesla, Ford, and GM from a market of 440 million consumers. France piled on, imposing carbon taxes on heavy U.S. vehicles like the Ford F-Series and Hummer EV, rendering them unsellable in key European markets. Canada, America's closest neighbor, joined the assault, signing the Green Technology Access Partnership, which choked U.S. auto exports to its market. The result? 200,000 auto jobs vanished in just 3 weeks, devastating states like Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky, where car manufacturing is a lifeline. Car prices in the U.S. surged by $15.00 to $30.00, pricing out middle-class families and fueling inflation. Meanwhile, China dealt a crippling blow to Boeing, halting deliveries of all aircraft, threatening $150 billion, 0 cents, in contracts and thousands of aerospace jobs. Each wide-body plane, worth $300 million, 0 cents, represents not just revenue but a web of suppliers and workers now at risk. These weren't random strikes, they were calculated attacks on America's economic pillars. The EU and China exploited vulnerabilities in auto, tech, and aerospace, proving that in a globalized world, no nation fights alone. Japan's automakers like Toyota and Nissan sidestepped the chaos, maintaining a 35% U.S. market share by diversifying production to Southeast Asia. The EU tightened its grip on big tech, imposing digital taxes and data-sharing mandates that cost Google and Meta billions. Like a chess grandmaster outmaneuvering a brash opponent, America's rivals turned Trump's tariffs into a trap, threatening to isolate the U.S. economy and dim its global influence. America's global dominance is crumbling before our eyes. Rivals are outpacing U.S. exports with cheaper goods. This isn't just economics, it's a fight for the future. Step back, and the crisis reveals a stark reality. America's agricultural and industrial dominance is slipping. Rising production costs make U.S. goods less competitive against heavily subsidized rivals like Brazil, India, and European nations. USDA data shows U.S. agricultural exports shrinking as trade barriers and tariffs choke demand, while global oversupply and climate-driven yield losses hammer crop prices. Technology could be America's salvation. GPS-guided tractors, AI harvesters, and drones are revolutionizing farming, but Trump's protectionist policies are stuck in the past. John Deere's investments in automation aim to keep it competitive, but tariffs handcuff its ability to compete globally. The result? America risks losing the innovation race, outpaced by nations embracing change. The auto and aerospace sectors mirror this struggle. Japan's automakers, holding 35% of the U.S. market, dodge tariffs by shifting production to Thailand and Indonesia. Chinese Boeing ban threatens America's aerospace supremacy, a cornerstone of its economic might. This isn't just a trade war, it's a battle for the 21st century economy. As automation reshapes industries, nations that adapt will lead, while those clinging to outdated models, like Trump's tariff-heavy approach, risk obsolescence. Like a farmer ignoring a coming storm, America's failure to modernize could leave it stranded, its global influence fading as rivals seize the future. Amid the wreckage, a path to recovery emerges, but it demands bold action. First, the federal government must bolster small farms with increased subsidies and credit to halt the wave of bankruptcies. Second, invest heavily in domestic supply chains, reducing reliance on foreign imports and rebuilding industrial resilience. Third, overhaul trade policies to prioritize sustainable, multilateral agreements that open markets without sparking tariff wars. Consumers wield significant power. Choosing American-made goods isn't just a transaction, it's a vote for rural communities, workers, and a stronger economy. But time is running out. If America fails to adapt, it risks economic isolation, outmaneuvered by nations that embrace innovation and collaboration. John Deere's clash with Trump is a microcosm of a larger truth. Globalization is relentless, and protectionism, while politically potent, suffocates progress. Recovery requires courage, a willingness to bridge divides between rural and urban, corporate and worker, America and the world. Like a farmer facing a drought, the U.S. must innovate, adapt, and unite to thrive. The alternative is stark: a nation left behind, its fields fallow, its factories silent. The question isn't just whether America can recover, it's whether it can summon the vision to redefine its place in a rapidly changing world. The showdown between John Deere and Trump is more than a dispute over tariffs. It's a mirror reflecting America's struggle to navigate a globalized world. The cost is staggering: shattered communities, lost jobs, and a waning global presence. Farmers, workers, and consumers bear the burden, caught in a trade war where victories are Pyrrhic at best. Yet, hope endures. By embracing innovation, supporting its people, and forging smarter trade policies, America can reclaim its strength. The choice is clear: cling to a fading past or build a future where unity and resilience prevail. As the sun rises over America's heartland, one truth shines through: only together can we harvest prosperity.
Shifting in real time. This is the trade war's human toll, and it's savage. Farmers were Trump's base, highs, pushing families to the brink, and a housing crisis looms like a storm cloud. Mass foreclosures could spark a 2008-style crash, and where's the relief? Trump's pouring millions into rallies and legal fights, not farms or factories. This is a slow-motion disaster, and the people are the wreckage, and America's losing ground by the minute. Zoom in past the headlines. This is personal. U.S. farmers are bleeding out. China's 34% tariffs shredding soybean and corn markets they've relied on for decades. They're not just losing sales, they're losing farms, legacies crumbling under debt and despair. Unemployment's spiking. Rural towns are ghostlands, with no jobs to replace what's gone. Consumers are next, hit with food prices up 5.3% while wages flatline. Canada's at 2.1%, mocking U.S. pain. Rents at all time. Now there is collateral damage. drowning for communities already hollowed out. As China slams the door. Rural unemployment's not a statistic. It's a death spiral. Consumers feel it daily. $5 bread,